Hi everyone, this is Julie Duffield. Welcome you from Q Live 2013. I'm very excited to be here with Kevin Honeycutt. Hi Kevin.
Hi.
And I have to say, I read your bio and it's so exciting to meet you because you're the closing speaker. And I just want to ask you, how do you get kids to be creative?
How do you get kids to be creative? I think before we intrude, we can't keep them from being creative. Kindergartners think frogs can have wheels. We teach them that that's not true. We teach them to raise their hand and get permission to think. I'm not saying everybody, but that's what school does often. And that was great for building an industrial society, compliers, who wait for permission to do the next part of the job or whatever. But that is over. Our kids are going to have to learn, unlearn, and relearn their whole lives. And they're going to have to not mind it. You and I, we can learn. We don't always like it. They move the button on my website to here. Why?
Yes.
It bothers us. Little things bother us. They've got to be more malleable than that. Case in point, we were just driving in New Zealand last week, and this is my assistant over here, Brenda. She's my driver on the road. She's on this side of the road.
Oh, the right side of the road.
Okay, but everything we know is wrong. Suddenly it occurs to you that everything you know is wrong, and every instinct you have will get you killed. And you're exhausted when you get to your destination, and then I think we should probably force ourselves to do that, to get out of our comfort zone. That's what creativity is, to imagine something that doesn't exist and then give birth to it. It's to make, you know what I mean, to invent. And invention is this amazing thing. If I invent something, it's to have an idea no one agrees with. If anybody agrees with it, it's not an invention. Where in school are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, take risks to fail too. I think that's the piece that it comes together.
How many versions of the light bulb before the one worked for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if he had not been allowed to fail ever? What if he had not made AYP if he didn't get it in 3? You know what I mean? So innovation is about failure and autopsying failure, learning and iterating, versioning, you know what I mean? Kids should never say, I'm done, In art class, we're never done. We're building a portfolio. We don't throw away old work. We grow on it. We look at it. We dissect it. We critique. There's a lot in that process that can be used in all of education. We have all these new tools that we can paint with and draw with, create music with. But we're not doing that. That's the fun stuff we do after the worksheets on an iPad. Worksheets on an iPad is an evolutionary step sideways. You know what I mean? Buy a Ferrari and use it for yard art. Drive the thing, right? So I just want creative teachers to push, to demand, what are you going to make this week? Show me the last 3 things you made. Hand it in, So
you say the kids are creative, and so how can you make the teachers tap in, or not make, or encourage them to tap into their creativity?
Have you ever met a teacher who had a renaissance in the middle or the end of a career? Became new again. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you ever saw, right?
It is,
they
transformation.
Get excited. Well, we do the same year 30 years in a row, and you can lose a life really fast that way. But when a teacher gets excited again and becomes a learner again, I think it's healthy from a cognitive standpoint, but also when they become learners, they become role models for their kids. And they're basically saying, humans don't stop learning, ever. And if you teach them anything, if you teach them the opposite of that, you're going to cripple kids. You don't get a degree and get to coast for 30 years. That is over. Even if you invent something, it's going to be copied in a year. You know what I mean? So I always say to my students, I say, if you have a good idea, have another one. And another one, and another one. That's creation, right? So
to keep
creativity, art, music, drama, all of these creative arts that are being cut to make more time for testing, building middle managers when we're outsourcing that. You know what I mean? It makes me crazy. So when I see these schools, and the ones that are most creative, the dire circumstances, juvenile detention, kids that everyone's written off. I can do anything in those programs and no one minds. I can do brain surgery and no one notices, because they're open-minded, because they have to be. It's like a MASH hospital. We have to invent new surgery right now, right this minute. And I think that's healthy. With all these tools, there is no best practice. This is a new thing.
It's innovation? Or how does innovation and creativity work together?
It's all one thing. I think innovation becomes an important word when what you're having kids do leads to something that has stakes. So you're handing this in, and the world's going to see our stuff, and the world gets to vote on whether they like it or not. Basically, you're test marketing. right? So when you get a school kids, you're going to make a product, and you can make a living with this product. So innovation usually is an application to building something that's a consumer product, you know, an iPad or whatever.
I live in the middle of Silicon Valley, so and I see sometimes the schools my students go to are much more traditional. So I see sometimes students have a foot in both canoes, as you said, this side of creativity after school, building Minecraft, being in these worlds of creation, but then doing schooling. So how do you blend those worlds together?
Hard. I call that tradigital teaching.
Tradigital teaching.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're doing some traditional because you have to, or you'll get fired, and you got to do some digital, and you got to work that in. And I think the continuum is anywhere you want it to be within this sort of sliding scale. Some teachers say, Kevin, I can't do all those things. I say, don't. Pick one, though.
Pick one.
Stop not doing one new thing. And they'll say, I don't have time. Make a list of things you're going to stop doing.
Okay.
So the problem in teaching is we laminate everything, and then it's sacred. I can lead a revolution in this country tonight, if you'll join me, break into every classroom and burn every file cabinet.
Okay.
Purge the legacy code. Start over again. You know what I mean?
So what brought you to being this change agent? How did you get into this?
I came up in poverty. I'm probably otherwise gifted in a way that no one cares about. And so I was that different kid, and that a handful of teachers let me be smart my way. I'm not cheating. I did more work than the other kids, but I needed to learn hands-on. I needed to invent. I can't just listen to you talk.
Right.
It won't stay in my mind, even if I write it down.
Yeah.
And I asked people, how many days of school did you sit through that you remember none of? None. And if you don't remember it, did you learn it? You know what I mean? All you had, school was done to you, not with you.
With you.
To you, right? You endured want, and we all laugh about that, but that's not, that's educational malpractice, right? I want you leaned in. I want you leaning in. And you can see kids when they're leaned in. They're just leaning into the learning, right? And that can be a laptop in the back of the room. See, for the first time, a kid in the back of the room can have a front row seat if what they're doing on the laptop is engaging.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
For the first time. So we should pick things to do that let them do something that feels important.
Authentic, you mean?
Yes. I had a fifth grade girl in Oregon. She said this to me at a conference. We'll take your test. We'll do what you say. Please, God, just let it matter.
Just let it matter. Yeah.
Kind of was heartbreaking because she meant it. She wasn't being mean.
So as we wrap up, I want to really thank you you came from all the way from Kansas, right, to be with us. So thank you for coming to California. And what's one last word you would say, about just encouraging people to continue taking those risks, bringing that creative spirit, developing it?
I like to say that the new killer app is Learn to Love to Learn. L2L2L. I have a necklace that says this. Learn to love to learn, and teach your kids that too.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Nice.